All right. Welcome back to episode 7.
I think so.
Yeah, episode 7, but the third episode for Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros.
hmm
And today, or at least right now when we're filming, it's like about 4, but
Well, first of all, happy St. Patrick's Day. For us, it is St. Patrick's Day.
yeah,
For you, it will
be
most
the next
likely
day.
be after St. Patrick's Day. But yeah, one of the best holidays to go around.
He just likes it because he has an excuse to drink a lot of Guinness.
I don't need an excuse to drink Guinness. I just have an excuse to drink more.
That's literally what I just said. Literally what I just said. That's crazy. So that is his brew of the week.
The month, really.
Yeah.
But right now, just drinking some water. But before that,
We went to Foxtail.
we did go to Foxtail, not sponsored.
Yeah. But if you wanna.
I got a mocha café con leche
With oat milk.
with oat milk.
Because you're lactose intolerant.
Yeah. I said that was pretty good. Maybe an 8 out of 10
Really?
of café con leches that I've had. I think the only one that has been better
Mm-hmm.
was the one that Caesar made, my cousin.
Okay. Valid.
But from places that I've tried, granted, I haven't tried that many café con leches at other places because I don't really see it on the menu. So I don't want to be asking for something I don't
Plus,
see.
it's a coffee that you recently started to get into.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not like, for those of you that, well, no, I haven't really talked about it, but I'm not that much into coffee. I only recently started getting
shame.
into it.
You started getting into it because of me.
But really, I still prefer, like, I make the running joke, like, I like coffee with my creamer, right? I don't like,
Yeah.
I like my coffee to be 90% something else, 10% coffee. Like me, whenever I would just make coffee, it would, like at home, it would just be off, the machine, and then I add a bunch of creamer to it.
And that's how I started to make your coffees too.
Yeah.
Because once we moved in together, I started making the coffees for us in the morning because I need coffee. I'm the opposite. I'm all for coffee.
Yeah.
I'm more adventurous in that area, and I prefer to taste a little bit more of the coffee too. Well, I mean, I like it sweet, but I also don't mind if I like get a heavy taste of coffee.
Yeah.
In contrary to you. So when we moved in and I made our coffees in the morning, I had to learn how to put more into yours.
Yeah.
Because I would ask you to do that. He's like, yeah, but like, can you like the normal amount of creamer, then like a little bit more? Because that's me. And I'm like, okay, weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, valid. I'll do it. So, at least for my coffee order today from Foxtail was a latte, but it was a mocha and hazelnut latte with oat milk because oat milk is just so good. And I believe I added some mocha cold foam. I don't know why. I just wanted to try it, but it's so good. I know you didn't like it, and I think it's because of the hazelnut. I just don't think you like hazelnut
I don't think
because
so.
it's just a little bit more out there. And so, I don't know. But mocha and hazelnut, so good. Oh, it's my favorite combination.
What do you rate that drink out of 10? I know you probably didn't have anything,
I say it 8.5 out of 10 because I don't think I
Mhm.
can find a lot of places that do mocha hazelnut coffees.
Yeah.
I think the only other place that does it and I really enjoy it is Double O's, where they have they call it la tortuga or the
No, just
tortuga,
Yeah. Not
but for me it's tortuga. But that one is mocha, hazelnut, and caramel. That one's good too. But anyways, that combination, delicious. I give it an 8.5 out of 10. I would definitely get it again. It's just adding the extra flavors make it more expensive. So I'll bring it down to a 7 because my coffee was almost like $10 because of the hazelnut and mocha that I added to it, the oat milk. So it made it more expensive. So that's why I want to learn how to make it myself. But we need an espresso machine, and mine is just being a little bit wonky. So
yeah,
that's our little brew segment for today.
So I'm also gonna just apologize for not having beer right now. As most of you know by now, I am the beer person. We both enjoy beer, but I feel like I would be the one having a Guinness at the moment. But kind of went hard the last 2 days, so I'm giving my liver a break.
We really need to give.
I think over the past 2 days, probably gave it like 20 Guinness. So, yeah.
I guess we'll get into it. I would like to start off by saying I would like to formally apologize for this week's set of chapters. I'm so sorry for how we ended it off for this week, and we'll get to talk about it, okay?
Yeah, she did her timing thing again.
I don't know how that happened. That I was so mad, and I finished the set of chapters before you, and so I forgot what you were doing that day. I think you might have been playing Spider-Man. Was it?
I don't know.
I don't know, but I finished the chapters, and I was just so mad. I was like, I can't believe this. This is ridiculous. Now I have to wait until the next week to read the rest. Like, are you kidding me? Anyways, let's get started with the recap. All right. I'd like to make a correction from the last episode. So I think in the last episode, I had said that Violet got her signet power. However, she didn't get her signet power, but she did get the ability to start channeling it to get her signet power. But, she still had to learn. But that's whenever they said that she was ready and how she started to feel a lot of that, it was Taryn giving her the ability to, like, now be able to channel to her power, essentially. But that's just the beginning. Anyways. All right, let's start out with chapter 23. So in this chapter, we find out that a couple of people now are starting to get their signet power. Rye's signet is summoning, which is a rare signet, and good for her. Rydok can wield ice, which is a more common one. And then Liam can see things far, far away. Must be nice, because I wish I had that. That way I wouldn't have to wear my contacts, but, whatever. Dane also confronts Violet about letting Taryn share her memory with everyone, but didn't share her memory with him when he quote unquote asked. But Violet didn't let him walk over her. She tore him a new one and started with the fact that Dane never asked her to share her memory. He actually demanded it from her. And he never believed in her and continues to overprotect her. She then hits him with this line, I know you want me to keep me safe. I know you want to keep me safe, Dane. But keeping me safe is keeping me from growing too. Oof. Love that. He then apologizes and tells her to keep an eye on Xaden and that she shouldn't trust him. Challenges also start back up, and Violet has pretty much kicked ass. And then she finally sees that they're letting Jack Barlow challenge her. She tells Liam about the challenge, but she asks him to not tell Xaden because he can't interfere, and it'll also make Violet look very weak. Finally, it's time for the challenge, and this fight is so intense. Jack isn't fighting fair, and he's going for the kill shots. But Violet is tough and eventually kicks him in the balls and gets him to a point where he should tap out. However, he ends up throwing his dagger into her forearm, and the situation flips. He starts to use his power on her, and they mention it to the professors like, hey, he's not playing clean. But eventually, Violet shoves a hidden vial she had on her into his mouth, and he jumps back with his hands around his neck. And it turns out the vial has orange, which he's allergic to. Chapter 24. Violet wakes up in the infirmary and she sees Xaden sitting in the chair near her bed. Xaden tells Violet that she should have informed him, or she should have told him about the fight, but she responds that he hasn't really been around to talk, especially after their kiss. Xaden says that this isn't up for discussion, and now he's going to take over everything that has to deal with her. And now, I didn't want to mention this. I was going to mention it later, but I just want to say this is one of my favorite parts. He tells her in regards to the whole kiss that if she wants to discuss it, she can feel free to discuss it, but it doesn't mean that he has to be a part of the conversation. That they're both allowed to their boundaries, and this is one of his. Bro, love that about him. Love that about this section. The next day, Xaden and Violet are sparring together. Xaden shows Violet that he has a blade made for her. But for her to have it legally, she has to beat Xaden and or disarm the blade from him. And so they keep training and sparring for the next month every day. Everyone is getting ready for squad battles. And their squad is unfortunately down to two teammates compared to others. However, Xaden takes her away until they bump into Dane's father, Colonel Ados, Ados, and Violet's mother, Commanding General Sorengale. Which, by the way, fuck her mom. But she essentially says some shit of how disappointing it would be if she didn't develop a signet from Tyrn, and how if Andarna, and asks if Andarna has given her anything. To which Violet tells them no, and Colonel Ados, Aetos.
It's Aetos, so it's not Ateos.
Well,
it's
yeah.
Aetos or Aetos if you want
Aetos?
to say. Yeah, I say Aetos.
Okay.
But if we're pronouncing it like in Spanish, it's Aetos.
Yeah.
I think it would be Hispanic. I'd like to think.
Really? I think I see Dane as a blonde white guy. No?
I'm not saying he's Hispanic, but I'd say like his name.
Oh.
I would say in Spanish.
Interesting.
I'd be
Okay.
like, Dane Aetos.
Okay.
But for the sake of just pronouncing it, I like in my head, I just pronounce it Aetos.
Okay. So Colonel Ados asks if they can study Andarna, to which Violet tells them that she thinks Andarna would not be comfortable with that. And the colonel essentially responds with, that's kind of disappointing, and they leave the thing at that. Chapter 25. Squad battle is happening, and Liam wins his mat fight, pushing their squad to third place. For the last challenge, all squad leaders and executives have been sequestered. The squad has to work as a team to find and acquire, by any means necessary, the one thing that would be most advantageous to their enemies regarding the war effort. And then the winner would get 60 points, which pushes them to first place. Violet has a crazy idea, but it's an idea that comes with some risks. Essentially, her idea is to break into her mother's office to look for a good piece of information that they could use. And everyone within the team decides to go for it because they're able to use their wielding power. They just have to use it effectively to get there. So, they end up distracting the guard by using their wielding power and successfully break into her mother's office. Violet finds 2 letters that show that there's more going on in the front lines that isn't being told in battle brief. What's going on is a lot worse than what they're making it out to seem. However, Violet finds a map and decides that this is what they're going to use as their item. However, by then, the guard is pounding at the hallway door and eventually kicks it down. What they do to get out of this is Rye summons the map to her. Emery uses his wind signet and blows the guard away. The guard is knocked out on the ground, and for precaution, Violet slips the tonic in the hidden vial she had into the guard's mouth and tells them that it'll knock him out for the rest of the night. They make it back to the battle brief room. Everyone presents, and obviously, they win. Chapter 26. The prize for winning is a week-long tour of a forward outpost. Once they're at the barracks, Rye tells Violet that they're close to her village. Violet assures her that they'll find out a way to get her there within the next 5 days. As Major Quaid gives them a tour, 3 riders come back, and one of them just so happens to be Myra, who immediately runs to hug Violet. At night, Rye and Violet sneak out to get Rye over to her village. However, they bump into Myra. Myra succumbs to the pressure, having a soft spot for Rye having a pregnant sister, so they fly over. As they prepare to leave, Violet asks her sister if she knows how long mated pairs can be separated. However, before she can really answer, Xaden steps out of the shadow and replies with, "Turns out about 3 days is their max."
Which was sick as hell, by the way. I just imagine him like just walking out of complete darkness and just like, yeah, 3 days. By the way, I've been here the whole time.
Literally. What an iconic moment. I love that. Chapter 27. Myra is doing like a little mini battle brief with Violet and her group, which includes Dane and Xaden, the little tag along. Xaden says something slick to Dane, and Violet tells them not to be a dick. But then Xaden replies to Violet in her head, "You haven't even seen me start to be a dick." And thus begins Xaden being able to talk to Violet in her head, just like dragons do with them. However, Violet still hasn't figured out how to do it back, so she's stuck replying out loud like an idiot. I'm just kidding. But she's just replying out loud. After Xaden and Dane's little squabble, Myra pulls all 3 of them aside and tells Dane and Violet to figure their shit out. And also tells Dane to grow up because he can't keep acting like this if he wants Xaden's wing leader position after Xaden graduates. Xaden tells Myra even if their dragons are bonded, he's still right here. Taryn didn't drag Violet back, and it's Xaden's the one who left his post. He's the one who left his position, and he left his executive officer in charge because he left to go to Violet. Essentially telling Myra that even though their dragons are bonded and they can't really be separated that long, he's still the one who is moving out of his way to be with Violet. Therefore, Violet won't miss out on anything. They'll find out a compromise, essentially. As they wrap up, Taryn warns Violet that Griffins are headed their way.
Griffins.
Yeah, I don't know why I said Griffins. Griffins are headed their way. Myra tells Xaden to get Violet out of there, that they can't risk her life. Violet doesn't want to leave, but Xaden kisses her, stalling to give Taryn enough time to get to her and leave. However, they leave, but Xaden ends up staying with Scale to help fight against the Griffins.
My
gosh.
Like Gryffindor?
Yeah.
Just think that.
Yeah, that's valid. Anyways. Chapter 28. 2 days later, Xaden and everyone is back. Xaden meets back with Violet and asks her if she still hates him, to which she responds with yes. However, that's pretty much an absolute lie, and they both know it. Violet goes up to Professor Markham and asks him to tell her if Myra is alive. And with some hesitation, he tells her that no riders were lost. Now, war battle begins, and oh my gosh, this war battle is just so good. This writer really knows how to write. So, war battle begins. They are on both defense and offense. Essentially, their mission is that they have to go after the First Wing's egg while also defending their flag that they have to carry with them. They move to the flight field, and Taryn comes into view with a saddle on his back. This so cute.
Yeah.
He's like, I hear it's all about the fashion. I love him so much.
He has a deep voice though, no? So it would have been even funnier for him to say it.
Yeah.
It would have been like, I hear it's all about the fashion.
Yeah, no, seriously. Both Zayden and Taryn designed it for her, which is so cute. Cute. And I'll mention this. You know what? I'll mention it right now. I think this is such an iconic moment. She's all saddled up and Dane comes by and asks, is that a saddle? And Taryn responds with, no, it's a collar. I love it.
No, dumbass, it's a collar.
Literally. Adarna also joins them for war battle, and the battle begins. Violet tells Taryn that she thinks the first wing is guarding the egg at a certain position because she's constantly seeing 3 dragons consistently protecting the edge of the cliff. Violet informs Taryn, and he says that they're on their way. They're only about 20 miles away. During this time, Violet sees that Liam and his dragon, Day, are locked in battle with Jack and his orange scorpion tail dragon, Bade. Violet and Taryn move to help Liam when she sees Jack get off his dragon, jump onto Day, and thrust his sword onto Liam's side and then kicks him off Day. Liam is in free fall, and even though Taryn is moving towards him, they know that he won't make it in time. Violet cries out to Adarna, and she tells her to do it, to focus on everything except her and Taryn. Violet channels her gift, allowing Taryn and her to grab Liam's body while everyone else is frozen. She grabs them and time snaps back. Adarna is good, but Violet is pissed. Her eyes are locked on Jack. She feels a growing power sizzle in her chest, growing into a lethal, swirling vortex of energy. Even though Violet is grounded, the power breaks through and it crackles above her, swirling above her head. In that moment, she is the sky and the power of every storm. Lightning splits through the sky, slamming into the tower. Jack falls down the mountainside along with an avalanche of rocks. He doesn't survive the fall. Taryn roars with pride and calls her Lightning Wielder. Bruh. Oh my God.
Can I just say, and we're probably going to talk about it, but I'm just going to say this now. I don't think Jack is dead.
Don't even start with me.
Okay.
No. Fuck that guy. But we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it. Chapter 29. Everyone is happy that Violet has a signet, a lightning wielder, but Violet is shocked that she used it to kill Jack. Dane and Zayden try to console her in different ways. Dane wants to coddle her, but Zayden is very blunt yet kind in his own way. He tells her that she isn't just a weapon, she's the weapon. She can use her signet to save lives, to protect the entire kingdom. There's just, bro, I just love that part. She is back in her room throwing daggers onto a wooden target she has. Zayden comes into her room and allows Violet to vent to him about her signet and how she feels guilty for killing Jack. He tells her that she's allowed to feel that way, but to feel that way within the walls, because outside of them, she's a writer. And if she wants to get those feelings out in here, she can. She can hit him, she can yell at him, whatever she wants. So what does Violet do? She kisses him. Shut up. Chapter 30. They have a steamy moment. They finally have sex. And because she doesn't really know how to control essentially her her signet power in that moment, because she's very emotional, there are certain parts when they're having sex that her lightning signet goes off, and they set her curtains on fire, which I think it's hilarious.
They set her curtains on fire, but like a desk, like cut in half, dresser almost,
dude,
a bunch of stuff. But I mean, it's said later too that like it's she can't control her power because it's an emotional thing.
Yeah,
so
and that's something that she has to learn later down, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
After they have sex, they talk about some scars Zayden has on his back. It's 107 slashes. We find out that Zayden made a deal. He took personal responsibility for the loyalty of the 107 kids the rebellion leaders left behind. And in return, they were allowed to fight for their lives in the Riders' Quadrant instead of being put to death like their parents. So if any of them betray Navarre, Xaden's life is forfeit.
Yeah. Which I thought was dope.
I know.
That was dope.
There's just so many levels to Xaden as a character that I'm just enjoying.
Yeah.
But we'll get there. Professor Carr pulls up to Violet's room the next morning to get started on her training. Training her ability to wield lightning. Essentially, as we already talked about it, Violet was able to channel her signet because she was very emotional in every scenario. So, what does Xaden do to help her in this training? He decides to show her images of what they did the night prior, allowing Violet to wield her lightning. But we find out that she doesn't really have good aim, and she strikes lightning about another 5 times. But again, she doesn't have very good aim, and this is something she's going to have to train on a lot.
You forgot the best part, though.
What?
Like, before all of that, like the what is it, the professor had asked her what were you like doing when you like first got it, and she's like, I don't know, it's just like it looks like it's like emotional, because the first time I did it like to Jack, she was like super angry, right? And he's like, okay, so we just gotta get you to feel like some kind of emotion to get you to wield it again. And then Taryn goes, should I get the wing leader?
Oh my God.
The stuff Taryn says is just hilarious.
He's
like,
so
I get
quick.
the wing leader? Do I get Xaden? He's like, okay, well, emotions. We knew how the curtains went up.
The little scoff.
Yeah.
He's like, I just love Taryn so much. He's a very iconic
and then
character.
She commented back, she's like, that's why Andarna is my favorite. And he's like,
yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's why Andarna's my favorite.
Yeah.
Chapter 31. Xaden comes by Violet's room, and they look at the damage they did. Or, well, Violet did with her lightning. They find a note from Violet's dad in an old fable book, and it's a little cryptic. Violet thinks he's warning her of someone in leadership being corrupt, and she jokingly says maybe it's General Milgren, which is a thought that we can come back to, because I feel like there's so much going on that we can get to the little conspiracies later.
Yeah, I have theories as well.
Exactly. Xaden wants them to have sex again, but Violet tells him that she won't know how to separate her emotions from sex when it comes to him, and she pretty much lays it out for him, and tells him that they won't have sex until he admits that he wants more from her, and until she's ready to risk her heart with him. She sets a boundary because she deserves a relationship that's more than just on his terms. Now, some time has passed, and it's now 6 years since Brennan was killed. And it's also reunification day. Liam goes to the event with Violet, both of them dressed to the nines. However, Violet feels for Liam and wishes he didn't have to be there, protecting her because they're in a room filled with people who still aren't very kind to the kids whose parents were a part of the rebellion. However, he tells her that he's not there because Xaden told him to be there. He's there to protect her because after everything, she also saved his life.
Yeah.
And she owes it to him. So they're there for...
He owes it to her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He owes it to her. My bad. They're there for a little bit, meet with her mom, who sucks ass. We all know it. And then Violet tells Liam to scram. She's like, just get out of here. You know what? You're relieving your duties. I want to go see Xaden. And he's like, okay, see ya. Bye. He also says something funny because she says, essentially, she's like, I can literally scorch everyone here with lightning, but I need to go see Xaden. He's like, well, from what you've told me, your aim is shit, so I doubt it, but all right, I got the message. I'm out. And so she runs out to the parapet where she thinks Xaden would be. She sees Garrick and Bodhi and knows immediately that she's right. They try to stop her from going to him, telling her that he wants to be alone, but she goes anyways. chapter 23. My God. Chapter 32.
Bruh.
Yeah, I know. Chapter 32. Violet is walking across the parapet again, but this time to get to Xaden and be with him. In the moments that she's walking up to him, she's admitting to herself that she's in love with him. Finally, they meet at the parapet and he's mad that she's out there knowing she risked her life and could have died. But she starts essentially to confess her love. Violet tells Xaden that she knows he wants her, not just for sex, but for her as a person. She sees it through his actions, the way his gaze lingers on her. He does so much for her to not truly want her than more than just for sex. She admits that she's scared of what will happen when they graduate, but she's ready to take that risk with her heart and be with him. Xaden tells her that there's no one else but her, that he wants to try being with her, and although he can't really make her any promises, he's tired of fighting the need to be with her. And what do? They head back to Xaden's room. Things get a little bit steamy again. Before they have sex, she tells him that she's in love with him. But he doesn't say it back just yet. He just leans in to kiss her and they have sex. In the middle of their 5th round, someone is pounding at the door. Xaden reluctantly gets up after Garrick says he can't leave because there are a lot of people dead. Xaden opens the door and Garrick tells him to get his flight leather and to bring Violet along because they're under attack. And that, my friends, is where I lost my mind as to how I even timed this right. I'm just mad.
She just randomly ended it on a cliffhanger again. We are 2 for 2.
You guys, I do not understand how this is happening. I'm so mad.
And just in case you didn't go see the other episode for the other books or for the other book, she just randomly sorts the book out. She doesn't
I divide it into 4 parts.
Yeah.
Making sure that the 2nd and 3rd part are a little bit more heavier on the content. That way the first and last episode we're given a little bit more time to talk about either the book, our
for
thoughts.
Like an intro and then for the review at the end and all that.
And so that's why
Yeah, it's just random. And she just 2 out of 2 books now. The 3rd part ends
Is it really?
in a cliffhanger.
I'm so mad.
Yeah.
I was like, you got to be kidding me. Really? This is how we're going to end it off?
Yeah.
And this is not this is the part I don't like about book clubs. Because then I have to stop until we can talk about it.
Yeah.
And I was so mad because I couldn't even talk about it with you. I have to wait for this for us to film this episode for me to even get my thoughts and my frustrations out.
Yeah.
Dude, when you finally finished your parts and I saw you close the book, I was like, so?
And then I just flick her off.
Yeah, you just flicked me off. Oh my gosh. Where do we even start? You know what?
Like the war games, no? What is it? The
Squad battle was the first thing that happened. Where they broke into her mother's office.
That. Well, yeah, that. I mean, there was not really much.
Well, no, there is a little bit. Remember, she found two letters in there where they're talking about what's happening, on the front lines.
Oh, yeah. But about the stuff that they're not talking about in the battle briefs.
Yeah. Well, here, let's start. What would you like to start talking about? What would you like to start talking about within these chapters? What's something that stood out to you the most, aside from how, it ended?
Oh, what is that called? The war games? The
war battle.
The war battle? Are you sure?
Yeah.
War battle?
Yeah. I literally typed it up.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
That's weird. That's the same word twice.
War battle. Yeah. War battle. Squad battle. War battle. Yeah. They're just all about the battles. Bruh.
But the egg and the flag? That's called a war battle?
That's called war battle.
That's a stupid name.
Because Andorna is like, I want to be a part of battle. It's war battle.
Well, I did not know that's what it was called. That's a stupid name. Yeah, it's literally the same word twice. It's like if you were to call, I don't know, like a fight, a punch fight, or I don't know.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
You know, it's
I see
war
what you
battle.
mean. Okay, yeah,
there's a battle in the war. Like it should have been like war games would have been cool, but I'm thinking wrestling war games. But I thought that would have been a better name because it's kind of like a game. No, it's capture the flag, capture the egg, but you're fighting at the same time.
Is it really a game if you're out here killing each other?
That's the war part. The game is capturing the flag. But I really like that. It reminded me a lot of Capture the Flag from Percy Jackson, while also having a bit of the first game in the Triwizard Tournament in Harry Potter, where he had to find the egg and he had the dragon there. So it was like a mix of both. They have to capture the flag while also fighting, like in Percy Jackson. And then they had to capture the flag. I mean, the egg for bonus points. Which I'm also imagining is like a gold egg or something like in Harry Potter.
I also imagine it like that too.
Like it reminded me so much of that in Harry Potter because of the dragon in that too. Like you're trying to evade the dragon to get the egg, right? But in this one you're using the dragon to get to the eggs. But I get in that they used like 3 dragons to protect their egg, no? Like the opposite team, Jack's
that's
team.
how she knew that's where they were protecting, or that's where the egg was located, because constantly there were 3 dragons that were protecting that area.
But they even threw fire towards them, to Taryn and Andarna. Yeah. And we thought Andarna died really quick, but then she's like, I'm good. And she's like,
remember, really? I'm fireproof.
Fireproof, duh.
Yeah. Like, that's how I imagine her. She's just like a teenager, like, duh.
She's like, remember, fireproof, duh.
With a little pause. She's so cute.
But yeah, that's I think that's the main thing that stood out for me in this section. It's like that was a really cool segment. Really
how
cool
did
battle.
You like how they described? I try to include as much as I could from
her getting her power.
From her getting,
I thought that was really, really good description. Like that was insane. Like she became the sky or whatever. I was like, yo.
And she became every storm that ever occurred. I was like, dude.
Like I was imagining.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you remember. I forgot which one it was. I think this happened like 2 or 3 times. But the part I'm talking about was, you remember Thor Ragnarok? When at the end, he remembers he remembers what his dad tells him, and he doesn't need the hammer, right? He can wield lightning himself, and his eyes turn to lightning, and then that's what I imagined. Like she just everything turned dark, right? Like a storm, all gray clouds, like out of nowhere. You look at her and she's got like the lightning in her eyes and all that. Like it just goes dark, but she's the only light because it's lightning. And then she just she put out a scream, no? And then that's when
I think
but
so.
like an angry scream. Mm-hmm. And that's
and
when you
Taryn
see the giant.
It's like the proud
bolt.
Father roars with pride, lightning wielder. Oh, yeah. I was like, oh.
Yeah, like that whole description was amazing. How like I said, like I've said in the other 2, she describes things in such a way where it's so easy to just picture. Yeah. It's so easy to put into a movie in your head. And I think
really good description.
Yeah. And I think the fact that it was lightning, I was like, oh shit. Because
I knew it too.
Because it's 1, Thor, 2, Percy. Like with the lightning bolt and all that.
That's immediately what I thought of too.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, this is Zeus, Thor, all together. And I'm like, dude, give me. And the fact that she was on top of a dragon, and like how much more me could that have given me? You know, like how much that was it. That's what I needed. I needed a lightning wielder on top of a fucking dragon. Like that. I need that in a poster now.
Which I find it interesting that you think that Jack didn't die. I think he did because his dragon.
That's the only part that put me off. His dragon let out a scream, but I don't know if that was a scream of like worry. Like obviously she saw him fall. A dragon's gonna like roar or scream because she knows she couldn't get there or whatever, right? But they never fully said Jack was dead, right?
I was gonna say I don't think they ever.
It's always she's feeling guilty. It's like I killed Jack, I killed Jack, I killed Jack, and everybody's like.
But there was also never the moment where they like how they read out the names of the people who have died. I don't think that was.
They never read the name, and there was time passing. It's not like there was events in between that just wouldn't permit. Like no, they had that whole like dinner or whatever, that whole reunification day party.
Well, that was that was the last chapter.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they even had a moment for that. So like there was days passing since then, and they didn't take the time to read that.
Which here's the thing. I know that because I wrote down my thoughts on this. What do you think of Violet feeling guilty? I think I'm tired of having a protagonist who doesn't want to kill. Like, who doesn't... Like, there are moments where you just need to go for the kill. Sometimes being merciful is not the way to go about it all the time. There are some times where your survival is most important. And here's the thing. Here's what I wrote down. I get the feeling of not wanting to kill, but in a world where you're at war... You'd think that she'd be more okay with the idea of, of killing to survive. And, like, not killing, like, always, but just when you need it to just be able to survive. And sometimes that's what just needs to be done rather than always being too merciful.
Well, yeah.
I get it, though. It's her first kill, in a way.
And then you also have to... I think this is important. I also don't like that in a lot of stories. But in this one, it particularly fits her character because you have to remember she was always going to learn to be a scribe.
True, yeah.
She was never going to be around the fighting. She was never going to be around...
She wanted to be the one to report or, like, write it up.
She was literally just going to be around a bunch of books.
True.
Like, it's like you, right? You want to go into a library. You want to go into... or be around books and all that stuff. What would you do if you just get put into the front lines?
True.
Of like you're not going to feel comfortable killing anybody, right? But I think that fits her character because it's one, she wanted to be a scribe. She wasn't around that. Now she is, and she's learning. She got comfortable with the dragon, which was also a whole thing that she had to get used to. She's not ready to kill, but she did it because of the saving a life, And I feel like from then on, she's going to learn that's what has to be done. Like sometimes you just, it comes with the career, I guess you can call it.
It's true. And I think that's why I really appreciate Xaden not coddling her the way that Dane does it. Yeah. And he explains it to her. It's like, you are not just a weapon. You are the weapon, the most important power that can help protect this kingdom.
And then there's fucking Dane who's like, oh no, if you don't want to use your power ever again, you don't have to. Like, bro, that's the whole point of the power.
Literally. No, and here's the thing. And I like how you put into perspective that she always wanted to be a scribe. And you're right, because I get that. I think maybe I've just seen too many characters wanting to be merciful.
Yeah.
That's just like, it's kind of getting a little bit old here. But yeah. I understand, and it makes sense with her character. It really does. I just wish she just,
But that's the thing, she will.
Yeah, she will. I think she will. It's only a matter of time. It might be a bit, but
I even like the fact that Xaden brought it up. He's like, I felt the same way after my first kill. But I feel like that was good for him to say because now everybody sees him as a killer. Like, he's like, oh, if someone fucks with him, they're dead. But the fact that he felt the same guilt from his first kill
True.
is going to set the perspective for her. She's like, everybody feels this way for the first kill, but eventually everybody just accepts that it has to be done, but it never becomes easier.
Exactly.
But she's going to
because Dane tried to make it seem like, oh, well, just because you do it all the time. He's like, do you think that I want to be killing? He's like, no. It's just part of being a writer. And
then I think Dane brought up the fact that he killed all those people while they were trying to get to Violet in her room. And he says, he's like, well, I assume this was said. I can't remember. But it's like, if he hadn't killed those people, Violet would be dead. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's stuff that has to be done in order to save somebody else. Like, it's not like he's going around killing people because he wants to. Mm-hmm. Except for like when Violet got there first. Exactly. He just wanted to kill her. But also he had reasons. But I feel like that's a really good explanation from Xaden, because she needs to hear that, to learn that it's going to have to be done.
But I think I know Violet is, I think she is able to understand it a lot more when it comes from Xaden explaining it rather than Dane, because she says it, she's told Dane before, she's like, I get that you're trying to protect me, but when you're trying to protect me, it also impedes me from growing.
Yeah.
So it's not really helping me out.
Because he's not protecting her. He's what's the word? I just had it. He's not protecting, he's pushing back her potential.
Yeah.
He's
not allowing her to grow.
Yeah, I forgot. I had a word, but oh well. It's basically that. He's not protecting her. He's pushing back the potential. Yeah, I guess that's what I was trying to say, but I thought I had a word. Yeah. It's still just hashtag fuck Dane.
Yeah, it really is hashtag fuck Dane. And also hashtag fuck her mom. She pisses me off. Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
theory?
Yes.
Okay, what's your theory? Bring it.
The corruption. The person that's corrupt is her mom.
You think so?
I think so.
Ooh, explain.
I think the dad didn't, like, in the note, he was like, somebody up there is corrupt. Like, these stories are all telling you that there's a corrupt person in power. And then he leaves the note, or ends the note with, you've always been the best of both me and your mom. And obviously he was a scribe and the mom was
a writer,
right? But the fact that all this stuff about the battles up front isn't being told in the battle briefs, and then they go to her office and all that info is in her office, like, of the battles and stuff that they're not seeing. And the fact that it was Violet that saw this stuff at her desk. The mom is the one that has that info. She isn't relaying it.
Well, mind you, that is one part, but also in the last section, she she delivered the scroll to the professor.
Yeah.
And they also didn't talk about that.
But aren't those the same scrolls that are in her office? They're all...
No, those were letters.
Those types... Oh, yeah, from the...
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's what they were.
Those
letters.
Were
asking for, like...
assistance.
Recruits and stuff like that. And she's just not... why are those there? But yeah, I think she's the corrupt... Or is a possibility. I'm not too sure yet. But
here's the thing.
That's my theory.
Here's the thing, though. How is it possible for someone in the writer's quadrant to be corrupt if their dragons will never do something to harm their home?
I don't think, because I don't think she has done anything that has harmed, that looks like it's harming the kingdom, right? She's just keeping info. Okay, yeah. She might not be the one that's like the full-on corrupt that we're looking for, but she might be assisting it. You know, it's not. She hasn't done anything, quote unquote, bad yet, but she's assisting it. I don't know how to describe it better.
I mean, the thing is, what sucks about this is that literally the next chapters or the final book is actually going to mention who it is.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so mad that I stopped it that way. Oh, you guys, I'm sorry. Let's see. Oh, man. I am... You know what? Let's talk about something that you're not going to like, but I thought was very well constructed in this book. Let's talk about the romance. I know you don't want to talk about it, but I want to talk about it so bad because I'm angry. I'm just kidding. No, I'm very... I'm over here like twiddling my thumbs and my feet because I'm so happy. I think the romance done in this book is done very well. Let's compare it to the last book that we read. You're telling me that the romance in this one is not... Well, no. Here, let me... How to construct my words. I feel like the romance done in this book is done very well because you're seeing it through the actions.
Are we talking about the romance or just the sex? Like the full-on relationship?
Not the relationship.
Yeah.
Because granted, the sex scenes, they were done fine. I know this like smut for you is like, it's neither here nor there. I think it was, I like them, but overall, I think I enjoyed the sex scenes a lot more this time around because of how their relationship between the two characters has been set up throughout this whole book. I don't feel like it's forced in a way because I see that both of these characters want each other. Like Violet said, they're so they know how to set boundaries with each other and know when someone is essentially calling bullshit. Well, at least Violet does.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like Xaden truly cares for Violet, and we can see it all. I mean, he has a dagger. He helped construct a dagger, or it's a little bit bigger than a dagger because he said that these daggers are just a little bit too small for your weight. You need something a little bit heavier, and so he constructed, I guess, almost like a... I wrote it here.
It was a dagger, just a little, like you said, like heavier. It wasn't bigger, it was heavier. And like the handle was made out of like stone, something like that.
Okay, yeah. We'll just say it's just a bigger dagger, essentially. That in order for her to get this dagger, she has to, spar with him. And it's like, he takes time out of his day to help her get better.
Yeah.
As a fighter, as a writer, he does so much for her that I feel like that's him caring for her in a way. Granted, they're stuck with each other because of their dragons being mated to one another, but I truly feel like their relationship and their connection has grown a little bit more genuine every chapter that we kind of see a new side to them.
Yeah.
You agree?
Yeah.
Because if we compare this to the last book that we read, they didn't really know too much about each other. No. It was just two forests. There was nothing really shown. And here, it really is the matter of the writer showing you rather than telling you that Xaden cares. She's showing us that Xaden cares so much for Violet. Like aside from this dagger, he constructed a saddle with Tyrion to make sure that, she can stay in place.
Yeah.
And he just shows that he cares.
Mm-hmm.
However, I do feel like he's holding something behind.
Yeah. I have a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, right? But obviously there's something he's hiding. He doesn't want her to get attached because of that reason. I don't know if it has to do with her brother.
What do you mean?
Could he have been involved in the death of Brennan?
I thought it was his father who killed Brennan. But you do bring up a good point, though.
His dad killed Brennan?
Yeah, his dad is the one who killed Brennan. Her mom killed his father, but his father killed her brother.
Okay.
That's why they have that grudge against each other at the beginning.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I would like just to say, there's a moment where Violet asks Xaden when he decided to not ruin her, and he says, maybe it was when I saw Oren holding a knife to your throat, or maybe it was when I realized the bruises on your neck were fingerprints, and wanted to kill them all over wanted to kill them all over again, just so I could do it slowly. Maybe it was just the first time I recklessly kissed you, or when I realized I'm fucked because I can't stop thinking about doing more than just kissing you. And then he tells her in her head, does it even matter when as long as it changed? Like, as long as it changed between us. Xaden, man. Oh my God. I really, really like them as a couple. But I like how they keep boundaries with each other. Like at the beginning, Xaden tells Violet, like, hey, if you want to discuss what happened, like, with our first kiss, that's fine. You can go ahead and do it. Just know that I'm not going to participate in this conversation. I have boundaries, and this is one of them at the moment.
Yeah.
And so I really like that he established that. And then later on, Violet established a boundary with Xaden. He's like, we're not going to have sex again. She's like, until you get your shit figured out or admit that you want me. But also when I feel ready to take that next step with you and feel like I want to risk my heart with you. This is not going to be on your terms. This is also going to depend on what I want too. And so I really enjoyed the author showcasing them both establishing their boundaries with one another. Don't you agree?
Yeah. I mean,
I know, like, the romance is, like, neither here nor there for you, but in the way that it's showcased,
it's enjoyable. It's not like I'm not reading it and going, blech. Like, you know, it's like, all right, cool. This is decent character development. Like you said, it's not here nor there for me. Like, I could do without it, but I also don't mind it being there. The one thing I did hate, I could not stand, was when they were in the battle brief and she kept getting in his head. Like, that was just annoying to me. Like, it's like, you're literally in the battle brief learning about battle.
You should pay attention.
He's obviously trying to pay attention. He's telling her, yo, fuck this off. Like, shut up and listen. And then he, like, randomly gets put on the spot, and he has to answer a question that he doesn't probably even know, but then he answered it, like, extraordinarily.
He had to answer it because he said out loud, Sorengale.
Yeah.
Like, what? He's like, he had to, like, come up with the response right there.
Yeah, and he did, but that's because he knows what was going on and stuff. And she was just trying to, like, get in his head, and, like, it's like, bro, like, all right, not the time for this. Like, that's where I was like, ugh.
No, I agree. I fully agree. I think that was one of the parts where it's like, we didn't need that part.
Nope.
We didn't need that part.
That added nothing.
It adds the teasing part between them. However, in battle brief, maybe that's not the moment. Maybe when they're sparring.
Or
sure.
like they did it. Yeah, I think it was during lunch. Right?
Yeah, like that's that. That's
that was
an
a little
time
cool comedy part.
Yeah, that was comedic.
Because it was like
the man, like,
he choked,
and
or
then
something.
Liam he knows that they're communicating. He just rolls his eyes.
Yeah,
I love that.
That kind of reminded me of, you remember in Harry Potter 4, they're in the lunchroom, and I think Harry was drinking water or whatever from that, and he, like, he sees that Cho is looking at him, and he like spills the water all over him.
Yeah.
Like it's like that. But it was also in the Great Hall where they were eating and all
exactly.
that stuff. So it's kind of like that.
Like those are
But
the
it's-
acceptable times where you can like show a little bit of teasing or something cute or comedic.
Yeah.
But like in Battle Brief, I agree that could have been held
Yeah.
off because, my dude, you guys are having a conversation.
And it's
you
like
guys should be paying attention in class. Just
Literally.
pay attention.
and then especially with her knowing there's stuff that they're not telling them, she should be paying attention.
Extra attention
Yeah.
to gather as much information to really.
But she's over here too busy trying to distract the fucking wing leader, the one that's supposed to be
literally
in this more. And so that's the only part that was kind of annoying. But
Also,
other than
I
that,
just want to mention, I don't know what it is. I have a feeling that Zayden has an accent.
an accent.
I don't know. In my head, he talks to me in an accent.
I mean, to me, they all have an accent. Like it's because it's all because dragons and all that. That's usually in the Scandinavian area. So to me, they all have like I don't know, like a almost Scottish.
Interesting. For me, I don't know
Maybe
why
British.
Zayden is talking to me in a British accent.
No, which makes sense because it's in that area. So I guess it also. I'm assuming everyone is from a different place, but that school is
Overall,
in a
yeah.
certain area, right? But they all come there together. So maybe Zayden does have a British accent. Sorengale has. I'm assuming Violet has a Scottish accent just because of the last
Interesting,
name.
okay.
It's like Sorengale. Then there's Zayden Rylson. Violet Sorengale. Then there's Dane Ados. I said Aetos. Then obviously Rydok is Irish or Scottish as well.
You think
It's like Rydok.
It's the Guinness talking, you guys.
Yeah, from like 2 days ago.
Literally.
But yeah, I feel like they all have some sort of accent. So I'm with you there. But like even the general, what's the name of the
General Milgren?
No, the name of the school that they're in, or
Basquiat?
Basquiat, right? Yeah, I mean that sounds foreign. Like that's got to be somewhere in what? I'd say Scotland.
You think
I don't
so?
know why
Okay,
I'm thinking
interesting.
this is in the Scotland area.
I mean, this is a hypothetical world,
yeah,
essentially. But yeah, I just, in my head, Zayden is talking to me in a British accent. I don't know.
yeah.
But yes, I agree. I think all of them do have some sort of accent to them. But I feel like his is different from just the general people of Navarre, per se. But I'm really enjoying the romance in this book. I feel like it's done very well. I feel like it's being developed very well. I mean, it took us all the way through section 3 for us to even get a sex scene, which I feel like that's probably the end of the sex scenes that will happen within this book.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the next set of chapters are getting into the climactic part. I mean, right now we stopped at a part where they have to get dressed and go out
To
and
war.
help because they're under attack. From who or what, we'll find out. But we're getting to a point where there's going to be too much action happening that I feel like that's the end of the sex. And I feel like those 2 sex scenes, for like I said, I know for you could have done without it. I feel like they were done well. And they were in a place in the book where I'm like, okay, this feels acceptable for it to happen at this stage of the book. I did want to say, I'm a little bit conflicted with Violet admitting that she loves Zayden.
Yes.
I don't know.
That's not love, bro.
I don't know.
To me,
I-
what she has is just incredible lust at the moment. I don't think it's to the point where it's
Here's the
love
thing,
because
though.
they haven't even had a full year there.
No, and I understand, but they have spent so much time with one another, sparring, getting to know one another, and through his actions, she sees that he does truly care for her. And I think that has to do something with her. Granted, like the girl hasn't had sex in a long time while everyone else around her is having the time of their lives because, again, when you're a writer, you don't know if you're going to be here the next day or the next week. So they're just having sex because, hey, pleasure.
Yeah.
But for Violet, I feel like it's more.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. I just don't know if maybe right now is the right time to be feeling that way. But hey, it's a book, it's romance. But I feel like if she wants to admit it, sure, I guess right now would be the time. It still feels a little bit off to me because Xaden isn't in that space just yet. And I still think that he's holding back something that might influence her later. I don't know.
And I feel like to me, that wasn't needed. Her saying, I love you, like, or her admitting it or whatever.
No, and she does tell him, I love you when they have sex.
Yeah. But I feel like she shouldn't have because, like I said, to me, that's not what that is. I don't think she is in love yet. But if that's how, it was written, whatever. And I don't agree with this, but I feel like it's going to happen as well. Xaden is going to say it back during the battle or something, like in these next few chapters.
Interesting.
Because he's going to feel like he needs to say that at that moment. Because again, it goes back to being a writer. They're not
life or death.
Exactly. Or he might get hurt, like the cliche, he's going to get hurt. She thinks he's dying or whatever. he's like laying down in her arms or whatever. And he's like, I love you. And then he like dies really quick, but then they resuscitate him or whatever. I don't know. But I feel like it's going to happen. I don't agree with it because I don't think Xaden is in that same headspace. And because he even told her, he's like, do not get attached to me. That's not going to happen. And he admitted that he wants her now, but
here's the thing. And she says it. I think it's true though. I think he doesn't want her to get attached because he is graduating soon. And even though their dragons are bonded, like the things could get messy. Yeah. And I think he's just scared to take that next step.
But at the same time, I don't think that's going to matter. Like they have to understand that they are now bonded. The dragons can't be apart. And even when he graduates, I think she's going to end up leaving too. Because they both have to be at the front lines.
No, and that's true. That's what I'm saying is that I think they both understand that they're stuck with one another regardless.
Yeah.
Like regardless if they're actually together romantically or not, they're stuck together because of their dragons.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing too, I feel like he's just very hesitant to do anything more with her because he's just scared. Like the man doesn't really have everything in his life has always been to protect the kids who have been the kids who were left behind from whose parents were a part of the rebellion.
Yeah.
Like he's always wanted to help them while also trying to advance in his career. His thing has always been to just stay alive. For him, romance has never really played a part until now.
Yeah.
That's something scary for someone who hasn't ever experienced it up until that moment. From what we know, obviously, from what we know. And again, we know that he's hiding something back besides just his fear of wanting to be with someone, but there's something else that we just don't know what he's hiding from. It could be something to do with Brennan. It could be anything else. I don't even know what that secret could be, but we may just find out in these last few chapters. It's just,
yeah.
So I'm really enjoying the romance, I must say that so far. Obviously, this is way better than the first book that we read. I feel like in the romance, how it's being developed, it feels a little bit more realistic per se, I guess we can say. For me, it feels a little bit more realistic and something I can kind of get behind on. Mm-hmm. Do I agree with her saying that she loves him? A little bit, but not too much. I feel like she does care for him. Mm-hmm. Yes, I do think that there is lust, agreed. But I do feel like she genuinely cares for him.
No, yeah. There's no
and vice versa.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe to the point where she loves him fully. I don't know.
Yeah.
But maybe that's something that could be developed further on too. So I just don't know if he'll say that he loves her, but I could see how it would happen in a moment where, the man could be dying and whatnot. But oof. There was something else I wanted to mention. I thought I had written it down, but I guess I'd be forgetting all the time, so I probably did not. I know I've been trying to get a lot better in writing my thoughts here. But I will say I'm really enjoying the descriptions of how the author is just like, there are certain things that I just really enjoyed that she wrote. Let me see. I'm sorry. Next time, I'm going to just remember to highlight it because I write it down for me to just remember it before. So, oh, but there's like certain descriptions that the author will say. Like one of my favorites was, he kisses me like I'm the ear that he's been missing. Certain little things like that. Or there's also another one where she says like he ignites a fire from the embers that were left before, like from them having sex again or something like that. Anyways, really enjoying it. I guess we'll see what happens in the final chapters of Fourth Wing. I'm really enjoying it so far.
Yeah.
Like this is going good. It's really going good. I'm really excited to see what happens. I'm excited to see what we find out. What are your theories as to what we're going to find out in these last few chapters? Chapters 33 through the last, because there is no epilogue in this one, because this is part of a 5-book series from what we found out. But from chapter 33 to the end, what do you think we're going to find out?
Well, we're going to find out who's corrupt.
You think so?
Yeah. We're going to get to Xaden's graduation. And I think they're going to... Like I said, I think Violet is going to end up leaving too. Like, she's going to be one of those people that ends up getting recruited before graduation.
I'm going to let you know right now, we have 6 chapters left. It's chapter 33 to 39. 33, 34, 35, chapters. 36, 37, 38, 39. Sorry, 7 chapters.
Now I'm kind of worried.
Yeah.
Remember, no way they're not going to...
There's still more there's a second book. So we know that not everything is going to get resolved in this book, but I do feel like we're going to leave at a point in this book.
Well, I hope a lot gets answered, because I from what I'm hearing, I don't want to read the second one. I'm going to let you figure it out. But
yeah, I'm going to read the second book, and we're going to talk about this in the next episode. But I've heard mixed things. I haven't heard good things about Iron Flame, but I do see that it has good reviews on Goodreads. But that can be a mix of whatever. Mm-hmm. I will report back in another episode. Doesn't matter what book we're reading. I'll just mention it at the beginning what my thoughts are. Yeah. But I'll let you know. I'll keep you updated. But yeah. I know you want I know you want a lot to get resolved within this. Yeah. And unfortunately, I just don't think a lot of it will time. Because there is a second book. So.
I feel like it might end on a really big cliffhanger, and that's gonna piss me off because. I don't know. I might feel forced to read the second.
So next week, it's going to be chapter 33 to the end, which is chapter 39. Again, the book that we're going to be reading for the month of April will be Circe by Madeline Miller. Yeah, Madeline Miller. Sorry, Madeline Miller. Yeah. So... Again, if you can go to a local bookshop, please get it. If you can't, you want to do it at Target, Barnes & Noble, it's okay. But highly recommend a local bookstore if you can, or try to rent it out at your local library or even on Libby. Although I will say Libby only lets you rent it for like 28 days. So not a full month. However, it's still an option. Highly recommend. Mm-hmm. So... yeah, I think that's it for this week. Really good discussion. I'm really excited for the end of this book. Yep. I know we're going to end up a cliffhanger because it is part of a series, but I'm stoked.
Yeah, and then stay tuned because I do want to do something cool for this in the last episode. Okay. I won't mention it to you until maybe a day before we record so you have time to do something. Or should I just say it now?
I don't know. I'm going to leave that up to you.
No, I'll save it. I'll save it for the episode, and then but I will give you time because it's something that you will have to look into.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'll save it. But yeah, stay tuned because there's gonna be a little other than the Brews review. There's gonna be that little segment I want to do.
And that's the reason why I'm always leaving the first and the last episode of a new book a little bit shorter with episodes with chapters that we're reading, just because there are other things that we're going to be talking about, like the Brews review and everything, and our thoughts overall. So
yeah,
we'll get into that next week. But this has been a nice conversation with a nice cup of coffee. We'll see you all next week.
See you then.
Bye-bye.
See you.